Hey, what's up everyone? Danny Lightning back with another CSR2 video. So today we are going to list off a bunch of cars that can beat Tempest 1 and Tempest 2 for Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, Tier 4, Tier 5, and Tier 6. Okay, we don't have a Tier 6, but we're going to do Tier 1 through Tier 5. Now, chances are, if you're doing Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, you're still somewhat new to the game and you don't have a huge collection of amazing cars yet. That takes a long time. That takes either a lot of money or a lot of time and patience. For me, it took about a year before I started really getting the amazing collection of cars. It might not have been that long, but I don't know. I got a bad memory and I'm not good at keeping track of time, but it took a little while before I got really awesome stuff. So we're going to list off cars that anybody can get easily and easily upgrade. At the end of this video, I'm also going to put up a list of all the boss times so you can see how fast the bosses run for Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, Tier 1 through Tier 5. So, Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, Tier 1, this is the car I recommend. The Volkswagen Golf GTI. Very easy to get parts for. You just buy another one and strip it, buy another one and strip it, and eventually it drops enough parts that you max it out. And if you get the one with the 1 star, you're better off getting it with 1 star than without stars. But hey, even without stars, it will beat Tempest 1 and Tempest 2. Alright, so let's move on to the next tier. For Tier 2, I recommend the 718 Boxster S. Unfortunately, you do have to buy this car with gold. But this one will easily beat Tempest 1 and Tempest 2. It takes a lot more parts for this thing to beat Tempest 3, but it will do it if you max it out. But most people can buy this car with gold, and they'll be able to get enough parts to beat Tempest 1 pretty quickly, and not too long after beat Tempest 2. But yeah, you do got to buy it with gold or pull it out of a crate. If you pull it out of the crate, it will have a star. If you don't pull it out of a crate and you buy it with gold, it won't have stars, but it really doesn't matter. For Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, star or no star, no big deal, but this is a great little car for everything, and it's not that hard to get. Now, if you happen to pull the Bunny MX5 Miata out of a crate, this is the car to use, but of course, being lucky enough to pull this out of a crate, well, you may or may not accomplish that, but if you do, switch over to this car, guys. This one, I think this does it without any stage 6 parts, if I remember correctly. But bottom line is, this is probably the best car you can get for Tempest 1, Tempest 2, and Tempest 3 when it comes to Tier 2. Now, when it comes to Tier 3, you can go into the dealership and you can buy the Mustang GT Premium. This will beat Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, and you can just keep buying and stripping these to get more parts. Ford parts are very easy to get for the most part, at least when it comes to the Fusions. So this is probably one of the best cars to use for Tempest 1 and Tempest 2. This is also now an elite car, meaning you can add elite tokens to it, you can add stars, and make this even faster. So I'm not 100% sure if this will beat Tempest 3 if you get enough stars on it, but it could. It very well could. Okay, I just looked it up. If you get enough elite upgrades on this car, it will beat Tempest 1, Tempest 2, and Tempest 3. Without the elite upgrades, I don't think it's going to do 3, but once you start getting those elite upgrades on there, it unlocks more fusion parts, and it looks like this car will do it. I have not experienced it. I haven't tried it myself, so don't quote me on that. I know for sure it'll do 1 and 2, but it may also do Tempest 3 from what I'm seeing. Alright, so let's go check out the car to use for Tempest 4. I mean Tempest Tier 4, not Tempest 4, Tempest Tier 4. For Tempest 1 and 2, Tier 4, go to the dealership and buy yourself the 2015 Nissan GTR R35 Premium. This is a very good car for Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, and it's a great live racing car for somebody who's new to the game. It will not beat Tempest 3 because it cannot hit the top speed required, but it's got low top speed and crazy fast acceleration. The car is very hard to drive. It's very hard to drive because it shifts really, really fast, but you know what? You will get the hang of it eventually. When you do enough runs with this thing, you will get the hang of it. It is a phenomenal starter car. It'll beat Tempest 1 no problem. It'll beat Tempest 2 no problem. And you can just go into the dealership, you can buy it, and then you can keep buying them and stripping them until you get enough parts. So for somebody who's newer to the game, these are going to be your best bets for getting through Tempest 1 and Tempest 2 quickly. Now, Tempest 3 Tier 4, that is the hardest one out of all the Tempest races. That's going to require a very specific car that's got good acceleration and a high top speed, plus fast enough to beat the boss. Most Tier 3 cars, I meant to say Tier 4 cars, cannot do all three, so there's only a handful, so that will be coming on a different video. I do have an older video recorded that has a list of a lot of cars that can do it, but there have been new cars added to the game since then, and some of them can do it. So I'm going to have to put together a list of all the newer cars plus the older cars and redo that video eventually, but Tempest 3 Tier 4 is hard. Anyways, let's go move on to Tier 5. So for Tier 5, I am going to give you two options. This car, the F12 Berlinetta, you can just go into the dealership and buy it. This will beat Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, but it will not beat Tempest 3. But it's very easy to get parts for. It's a very nice car to have. It's going to come in handy for a lot of things, so this is definitely one of those cars that you want to get. But there is a second car I'm going to recommend in just a second, which will beat Tempest 1, Tempest 2, and Tempest 3, and in my opinion, you probably want to have both of these if you can get them and get parts for them. Now, Lamborghini parts are actually pretty easy to get. You can keep buying and stripping these to get more parts, so this is a very good choice. But let's go look at the other car, which is probably a better choice when it comes to Tempest 1, 2, and 3. For Tier 5, I recommend the Lamborghini Huracan Coupe. This is an excellent car. It is very hard to drive because it shifts really fast, but it will beat Tempest 1, Tempest 2, and Tempest 3. Alright, it's not easy to beat Tempest 3 with this because once you get to Tempest 3, it's going to require you to step down some of your parts to lower upgrades, and then you got to play with tunes and this and that. So for Tempest 3, you're generally going to have these cars maxed out or very, very close to it. But for Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, this car made it through easily for me. You can just go into the dealership and buy this thing, no problem. Buy it with some game cash. Then you can buy and strip, buy and strip, buy and strip. I'm not going to lie, it took about 30 or 40 strippings to max the car out. So that was like 40 million game cash. It took a long time. But for Tempest 1 and Tempest 2, it was pretty easy. But when it came to Tempest 3, that's when it required the car to be pretty much maxed. And that was a very expensive thing. But one thing that's really cool now, if you go into rare imports and up here on the top, you'll see the little parts tab. If you click on that, whatever car you're currently in, there's going to be a crate in here for that car where you can use your bronze keys to get parts for it. Now, that was not around when I was doing Tempest. And if you've got bronze keys saved up, that may actually be a better choice than going in there and buying and stripping, buying and stripping, buying and stripping. I would say if you have more game cash, buy and strip. If you have more keys, open the crates, right? Get the parts out of here, and I don't know. If you got the keys, this would be much easier. So this will work for any single car in the game with golden stars. Now, if it has purple stars, of course, it's going to cost game cash, and that can get that's going to cost real money, not game cash. That will cost real money, and that will be very expensive. I think it's like $3 or $5 a crate or something if it's a purple star car. So that's kind of crazy right there. But any golden star car, but bam. Now here's a list of all the boss times, guys, for Tempest 1 and Tempest 2. These are the times you need to beat. Now remember, these could always change a little bit. These should be very, very close, but sometimes they do make the boss a little bit faster or a little bit slower. When you're trying to find out if your car can beat the boss, I would make sure my car is at least half a second or possibly 1 second faster than the boss if possible. Now, when it comes to the Tier 1 GTI, that's not going to be the case. The Tier 1 GTI is just fast enough to beat Tempest 2. It'll beat Tempest 1 by a couple of tenths of a second. Tempest 2, it'll barely do it, but you know what? It's very easy to drive, so unless you make some sort of major mistake, as long as you've got it maxed out, it'll beat Tempest 2, no problem. But yeah, those are the cars I recommend for beating Tempest 1 and Tempest 2 easily. These are all excellent choices. They all work really well. So they're all easy to get. Every one of these cars is pretty easy to get, except for maybe the Porsche Boxster, because like I said, you either got to pull that out of a crate or you got to buy it with gold, but trust me, it's worth buying with gold. That was one of the best cars I had for the first year I played this game. I loved my Boxster. It came in so handy. It was such a good car. And I actually still use it to this day for certain things. Alright guys, I think that's going to wrap this video up. I hope you found it helpful. I try to make videos to help you out, so do me a favor, hit that like button before you go. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any good CSR content that I upload. And share this with your friends. Hit the little bell, set the notifications to all. That way YouTube notifies you when I make a new video. If you'd like to help support the channel, check out the thank you button or the join button down below. You can donate or become a channel member with that. There's some links in the video's description you should check out that could help support the channel as well. If you can do that, that would be amazing. If you can't, that's just fine. I appreciate all of you guys watching the videos and hanging out with me on the live streams and everything like that. So thank you, everybody. You guys are amazing. If you want to get some Danny Lightning gear, there's a merch store. I think there's a link to that in the video description, or there's probably something about it, a little shopping thing down below the video. You can click on the shopping tab to get to it as well. I heard they've recently added some new items to the store, so I'm going to go look through that and see if I can add some more cool stuff to add to the collection of Danny Lightning gear. But I just want to say thank you to everybody. You guys are amazing. Lightning out. Have an amazing day. Thank you for watching, and catch you later. See ya.